Welcome to Bryer CD Showcase. I am Bryer Cisneros, and before the video starts, I do want to point out that I recently bought this little microphone, if you haven't noticed or heard, because I want to try and boost the audio quality of these videos. So in the comments below, let me know how it sounds. Does it sound better? Does it sound worse? Because I'm no sound engineer, so again, I really would appreciate the feedback. But anyway, so I know I have an older audience, so I don't expect many people to be a fan of this particular genre, but today I want to talk about, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to be talking about some Blackmail today, because I kind of want to share just how I got into the genre, because of how I know it's a genre that, again, it's a genre you're either going to like or hate, depending on your preference. Believe me, at one point I was definitely more on the hate side in the beginning because of just how I just couldn't understand just the appeal of it. I'll talk more about it later, but again, over time I kind of would gain a kind of appreciation for it, and I'm starting to become a fan now. And I want to share just how that happened. So if you're interested in games of Blackmail and you just want to hear from someone who is also quite new to the genre, then this is the type of video for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So this all kind of has been going on for a while, because when I was starting to get into metal music, of course, I knew the Maidens, I knew the Sabbaths, but there was another side of the metal community that would also bring up more extreme metal. So that's where death metal, Blackmail came into my, they became more known to me, and I tried them out, and at first I just could not. It was just like, what is this? Like, why does it sound like that? And Blackmail was definitely the one that was the hardest for me to get into. But the thing that kind of helped me start to really get interested in the genre was pretty much learning the history of it. I'm gonna give a brief summary of it, because it's a pretty interesting story of how Blackmail came to be. But what I would suggest you do after you're done watching this video, I'll leave a link to the video in the description, but there's a video on YouTube that talks about the history of a particular black metal band called Mayhem. And the thing about Mayhem is that when you're learning the history of Mayhem, it also intertwines with the history of black metal. So it's kind of like a bonus. So you learn the history of a certain band, but you also will learn the history of black metal in that one video. So I highly recommend you check it out. Again, link will be in the description. But when I was learning about the history of Blackmail, it was so fascinating to me. So again, here's a summary of it. So basically, Blackmail came about when a bunch of Norwegian teens were kind of getting sick of the death metal scene. They thought it was getting too popular, getting overproduced, and they decided to make a genre that was the complete opposite of death metal. Basically, like, for the obvious thing with death metal, it's all low, growly vocals. But when it comes to black metal, it's more high, very shrieking, very shrill vocals. So there's more to it, but that's like the most basic one. Anyway, as time went on, more people were getting into black metal, but then the people in the scene slowly began to adopt a sort of elitist type of mindset. They began to be like, only certain people can listen to this. If you don't do what we do, you can't be a part of us. Get out of here. And really, that really reflects the music, and that's where I kind of understood why it sounded like that, because it's supposed to sound very harsh. It's supposed to be very, 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 the vocals are shrieking in your ear, because it's supposed to kind of push normies away, and so only the true fans can enjoy it for themselves. And that relation really did help, because now I understand why they were doing what they were doing. But anyway, I do want to kind of bring up more, but because because of that elitist mindset, people in the scene slowly began to kind of, it almost became a cult in a way, because of how there were a lot more church burnings that occurred. Satanism was a big thing, and even murder in some cases. And please note, I don't endorse any of those things, obviously. But, you know, those people, they kind of took it a bit too far. But, and even, I think I'd say even some people in the scene were thinking that those people were taking it too far. But regardless, but yeah, learning the history really did help me paint a good picture of it. Again, that's just me. And so it finally gave me the motivation to really try again and listen to some black metal. And finally, the band that kind of helped me make it click for me was this band, and I've talked about this band a few times already. And of course, is Darkthrone. And what I have here is considered their unholy trinity of black metal. So I have all three, and again, I've talked about these before. So here's the first one, which is their second album, Blazing Northern Sky. Probably my favorite of the trilogy. Of course, at this point, before they released this one, they were more of a death metal band, but they wanted to try and get into the black metal scene. And so this album is mostly black metal, but there's a little bit of a death metal edge to it. To me, that kind of helps with the music, because I will admit the only downside I have with all black metal is that a lot of the songs sound similar, because again, it's the very fast tremolo picking, very fast double drum. But this one, they kind of diverse it a lot. It's not just the same beat, same guitar thing over again. So I enjoy this one. Next up, this was actually the first Darkthrone album I heard. That's their third album, which is Under the Funeral Moon. Again, very good. Again, this is kind of where they really embrace the black metal sound. And I think it works well. Again, they kind of diverse it, the sound of the songs. Really good stuff. And finally, this is the last of their trinity, and that's Transylvanian Hunger. That's another thing I really enjoy about black metal. I do enjoy the imagery that they portray. Again, I love the gothic look to it. The corpse paint, of course, is iconic. And of course, you have the logos, which are pretty cool as well. I'd say this is probably my least favorite of the trinity, because this is kind of where my gripes with black metal comes into play, because again, a lot of the songs are very similar sounding, especially the drumming. The drumming is like it basically sounds like it's the same drum beat the whole time. The only thing that's different is occasionally the guitar riff is different. But yeah, this is probably my least favorite, but it does have a lot of fans, so I'm not going to judge that. So Darkthrone was my gateway. That's from then on, I wanted to start getting into it more. Again, I don't have a whole lot in my collection. I have 3 more I do want to show off. So this one is kind of one I think is a nice kind of, if you're still apprehensive and you don't want to go full force into the black metal, this is one I kind of would recommend you kind of try out. It's kind of like dipping your toe into hot water, basically, when you go into a hot tub. This one right here, this is a band called Fear of Eternity. This album's called Spirit of Sorrow. So basically, this is more of an ambient type of black metal. It's not good. There's really not much guitar at all on this. It's actually mostly keyboard based. So the keyboards kind of add a nice melancholy feel to it. And the songs are a lot slower. And you still have the black metal vocals, but I actually think it sounds pretty good. I know a lot of elitists don't really like this sort of sound in black metal because it thinks it makes it sound soft, but I'm not one of those. I think it's good to take a genre and kind of experiment, put different sounds to it. But yeah, if you're apprehensive, then maybe try this out, see if you like it. Again, no guarantee, but I think it's worth checking out. Next up, we have Immortal, and this one's called At the Heart of Winter. And oh boy, does it sound like that. That's another thing I do enjoy at black metal, especially when you learn the sound of it. That it's, to many people, it sounds like you're in a blizzard and you're just in there, and it's just the snow is just pelting you all the whole time. and it really does feel like that. That's kind of brings up the next big thing I like about Blackmail is the atmosphere, because there is a very interesting atmosphere that I don't think any other genre can really capture. But anyway, back to Immortal. So yeah, this is a really good one. This kind of incorporates a little bit of thrash elements to it, so that kind of really helps diversify the sound. Yeah, really good stuff. I really enjoy this one. Again, very good. I recommend it. And this one's recently. Again, I actually showed this on my last CD haul video, and that's Emperor with In the Nightside Eclipse. Again, great artwork. Again, like I said, like Blackmail has great imagery for the most part. And let me see what happens if you open it up. Yep, you got this little landscape here. Very cool. At this moment, I think this might be my favorite Blackmail album so far. Again, it's more of a symphonic type of Blackmail, so it still has the sound, but more symphonic elements. There's keyboards in here as well, and you know, it sounds great. So yeah, so that's really all the Blackmail albums I own right now. Again, like I said in the beginning, I am no means an expert on it. I'm still fairly new, but if there are some of you who are fans of Blackmail, go ahead and feel free to leave me suggestions on what other bands and albums I should check out, because at this point I am pretty interested. I definitely want to delve into more of the genre. And for those of you who are still not convinced, the point of this video is not really trying to convince you to check it out. Again, we all have our preferences, and believe me, it took me a while. So there's no rush to get into Blackmail, believe me. But I think it's interesting. So hopefully you learned a little bit of Blackmail in this video. If you enjoyed this, then please give it a like. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye for now.